So something that a lot of Division fans have probably not considered yet is that the Division, or I would say specifically the Division 2, has pretty much outlasted and is still outlasting many live service games that probably have tried to do something similar, or maybe they had their ideas and it just didn't pan out. And to be very honest, some of these games, it's not like their ideas were bad, it's just that their execution did not necessarily stick true to serving their customer base. Welcome to the Gamer Dad channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. It's been 2 weeks and even change since I made my last video. I've been looking at the calendar and I wanted to go ahead and talk about this because these are from observations that I've seen lately. Now, this is not a comparative video. I'm not trying to pit one game against a division or probably somewhere around 3 games at this point. But I wanted to go ahead and highlight that, if you think about all of the flack that Ubisoft gets, if you think about all of the challenges that they face as a company, and much of it, these are challenges that could be easily avoided, they still have been able to somehow commit to supporting the Division 2. And even the Division 1 right now is still live. There have been rumors about possibly the game going down, which would be really, really sad. But ladies and gentlemen, to be very honest, at this point, I think they probably could have made the decision to make a live service version of it because most of the game, yes, is running on, a server side. But seeing that we now have the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, I think those games can run this game. We don't know what the performance is going to look like, but, it'll be nice to be able to have access to this game and just play it as a single player title without any problems. It could also be that Ubisoft has no plans of taking it down. There are games that have just basically stayed, which have come out before the Division and they've stayed live and people can still access the online nature of those games. So there's no cause for alarm. But let's talk about the market today. If you think about what is going on, there are live service games that have basically made their way to, the front line in terms of conversations, in terms of, what these games are able to offer. And, for the most part, if you think about what Warner Brothers is going through right now with its Suicide Squad game, it hasn't necessarily resonated with the market. This is a very huge, telling that many of these publishers and most of these studios are not ready to commit to what live service is about. Most of them are here for the money grab. And this is quite obvious. If you think about even NetherRealms, which is a studio under Warner Brothers, they make the Mortal Kombat titles. They released Mortal Kombat 11 pretty much a month after the Division 2. I don't know if you guys remember, the Division 2 was actually sandwiched by 2 major live service games from 2 major publishers. Yes, the Mortal Kombat angle was a whole different genre, we understand. But if you actually think about the game that preceded the Division 2, it was Anthem. Anthem is no longer a thing. Now it's basically a song that, people and fans who would have loved to see the game do well are singing late. Whereas the Division 2 is still a game that we're talking about year 5. In fact, Ubisoft sent a survey the other day. I got one in the email talking about how have you, basically enjoyed your experience with year 5 and so on and so forth. And I thought that's very interesting that, even they are, considering how people are looking at their IP right now at this time. And so at the end of the day, it really, to me, resonates very well and makes me even look forward to the Division 3 when you actually put all these things in place, when you consider that this is the way that Ubisoft wants to go right now, which is pay very close attention to this game. Now, I do have some criticisms nonetheless. Seeing that this is something that Ubisoft, Massive already had the formula for, already had the customer base, I was still a little confused when they went ahead and, started making a Star Wars game and an Avatar game. Now, no one's going to say don't pursue the bag in a sense, but to me, I don't necessarily know if that bag has paid off. We don't have data for Avatar sales, and with the Star Wars game coming out, I'm not necessarily certain that the saturation with Star Wars games right now really permits for a heavy hitter Star Wars title in the market. Seeing how Respawn has been making the Jedi games, and even the conversations about the remake of, I can't remember what the new remake of some old Star Wars game dropped on the market, which was actually a bigger file size, and then they messed up the textures and so on and so forth. But the conversation is still something that must be had. So looking at Suicide Squad, which is the latest live service game, and looking at how it failed, or in a sense, how it basically has, died in terms of hype. If we go check the Steam user base, I think somebody was actually making a joke. This was Destin Laguerre. who's an IGN reporter, and also, he has his own personal Twitter that he will post some, interesting stuff. He pretty much went ahead and, put a little post there, and I thought that was actually a little petty. I don't know. Many of you need to know that he does not necessarily like the Suicide Squad game. I don't know why. I guess after the whole debacle with him and his own whatever, he went ahead and put the Steam player count, and it was about 13,000 when they launched the new season. Man. See, you can hop on the Division 2 on PlayStation 5, and in no time you can get a group to do almost whatever activity you want to do. And shout out, by the way, if any of you are playing Tom Clancy's The Division 2 and you're looking for groups or you're looking for a clan, check the link in the description. The LCN clan is the Division clan that I'm a part of, and it's a very active clan, constantly running raids, constantly running missions, and you can join a community of people that will be happy to pretty much help you if you're trying to make any progress that requires a team or a group. So when you consider all of this and you put it in place, I just have to say that regardless of the flack that Ubisoft gets, regardless of the love-hate relationship that we have from time to time with the Division, and many of you know the Division 2 is far from perfect. In fact, far from good on some days, when like on PC, where people are still having some, technical issues on the game, and even on PlayStation, probably still some technical issues and balance issues and bugs and, overpowered gear and all of these problems that the game actually, persists through. It's obvious that this is probably one of the better live service looter shooters out there, if not the best. I mean, isn't it Bungie that even after a $3 billion acquisition, Sony is trying to pretty much push the board out if they don't meet their projected targets? So even them as a company, their biggest challenge is, management, just like the Division. So even though we may say Destiny or whatever, these companies are facing issues. And like I said, most of these issues are easily avoided. But again, it's just one of those things where, wrong decisions can be made out of excitement, out of this drive for perpetual growth, when in reality, just continue to serve your customers, and they're the ones that are basically going to keep you, on the market. And I think the Division 2 has proven to be able to keep, its users on the market. And so hopefully the developers pretty much, continue to focus their attention on how the mistakes that made their way from, the Division 1 into the Division 2 don't make their way into the Division 3. So thank you very much for watching the video. I really want just, throw my appreciation out there for you guys that, are keeping, tuned to the channel. I thank you for your support all these years. And hopefully we'll talk pretty soon. Hopefully it doesn't take 2 weeks to make my next video. Thanks so much for watching. Peace out.